What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another match review as Spurs beat Ferencvaros 2-1 away from home in the Europa League, which makes it a 100% record in the Europa League after 2 games. One of only 5 teams that have actually been able to make a 100% record so far. And look, it was a much-changed side. 4 teenagers playing on the day in MIKEY, Will Lancashire, Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall. And I thought all of them duly delivered. I wasn't too impressed with Lucas, but I think the other 3 actually put on a really good display for the team, particularly MIKEY Moore. I mean, everyone's been waxing lyrical about him after the game, and he thoroughly deserves it, doesn't he? Played with no fear whatsoever. A 17-year-old making his first start for the club, particularly away in Europe in that kind of hostile atmosphere. I mean, it's much to be desired, isn't it?
Definitely. I mean, it was an extremely impressive performance for a 17-year-old. You know, Ange after the game was waxing lyrical about his performance, and he was making a really good point about, yes, you know, the temptation is to chuck these young players in, and people are so excited about seeing young teenagers coming through the academy, and you always want to, you know, give them a pathway. But when you look at like in the Premier League and around Europe, obviously you got like Lamine Yamal, but how many 17-year-olds, you know, do you really see playing regularly and contributing for their teams at this kind of level? It's very, very rare, and so you have to be very careful with players like MIKEY Moore and make sure that you're developing them the right way, not putting too much pressure on them. And I think we've done a really good job of that in the early part of the season, giving him minutes here and there when we can, and when we've really felt he could start, like yesterday, you saw that we reaped the benefits because he started the game. He didn't look overawed by the occasion whatsoever. It was a difficult atmosphere, you know, intense fans throwing smoke bombs, and it was pouring with rain, and you know, they're constantly you know, singing throughout the whole 90 minutes, creating that kind of atmosphere.
Couldn't even see the pitch at times,
exactly.
Couldn't we watch it on TV?
And so to perform in those kind of circumstances for all the young players was really impressive. And obviously MIKEY Moore was definitely the shining light, playing on the right hand side as well. He just, you just felt what was really great about him is whenever he got the ball, he felt comfortable with it. He didn't feel scared to take on his man or anything like that. He was confident to just go at his fullback, and he was winning free kicks. But what I really liked about him as well was, if there weren't too many options, he didn't just like take on his man for taking on his man's sake, if you know what I mean. Like, he did it with a purpose, and if there wasn't an option, he was good at keeping the ball and also finding those little passes in behind to Papsar running on the right hand side, linking the play as well. So he showed it was a very mature performance from him. It wasn't just like sometimes you see with youngsters, because they're so desperate to impress,
over exuberant.
Yeah, similar to maybe even Bergvall. Sometimes we've seen, although I don't think he was as bad as some people are making out. I actually thought he was okay, but sometimes exactly over exuberant, like they just get the ball and they just want to take on their man, and even at the risk of just like giving the ball away and being silly with it. Like he didn't do that. If there wasn't too many options, he would pass it inside or just keep the ball and keep the ball ticking over and keep sustaining the pressure on the opposition. But when he did see space and he did see opportunities to break into that space or take on his man, he did that, and he did it effectively. And there was some occasions where he would knock it past his man. It looked like he was going to be second best to the ball, yet he would just bully past him and using his strength to get ahead of his man and win the free kick. So really impressive. And as well, there was quality there. When he got to the byline, a few times in the first half, he put some really good deliveries and he forced some corners and made the Ferencvaros defenders work for it. And obviously, he set up that chance on a plate for Timo Werner as well, which he should have scored. He was involved in both goals, wasn't he? He was involved in the opening goal. He played a nice ball through to Lancashire, which caused some chaos and caused the opening goal. And the second goal, he played a nice ball through to Solanke, which obviously led to the second goal being scored by Brendan Johnson. So involved with quality. It was just a really super impressive. And considering that was his first start as a 17-year-old, and the fact that we can even say what an amazing game he had, even though on paper he didn't have any goal contributions, just shows how effective he was on the day. Yeah,
it was just about how dangerous he was. A constant threat throughout the game. Even in the final minutes, you know, he was busting a gut to help us get on the attack. So yeah, look, a performance beyond his years for someone that's 17 making his first start for Tottenham Hotspur. I thought it was incredible. But in terms of the first half, I felt like Ferencvaros were the team that made the better start to the game. I don't think there's any disagreement there. First 5-10 minutes, they did look well on top, and you know, it looked like maybe the atmosphere was playing into that maybe a little bit, and Spurs took a while to get into the game. But I thought once we did get into the game, I mean, we were well on top, weren't we? We were penning them into their own half. We were creating chances at will. We were we were looking really creative with Mikey, even with Timo Werner on the left. I thought was looking creative at times. Put in a really good ball for Will Lancashire at one point, Timo. So I thought the first half Spurs played some really good stuff.
Yeah, I think the turning point was the disallowed goal,
to
be honest,
yeah.
because they were on top. I wouldn't say they were like creating chance after chance, but they definitely were the ones causing us more problems than we were causing them. They were getting in down the sides. Traore and that Civic player on the left-hand side were causing us a few problems, and it looked like they had got reward for it with the goal they had scored.
Millimeters, wasn't it?
Yeah, you see the image. It's so tight. So we on the original image, I thought it was definitely onside, but it was a millimeter just off. It was leaning offside. So
if that is a goal, though, you probably say it's a well-deserved, and they deserve to be in the lead at that point.
Yeah, you probably reward for a good start. I don't think there was they were just it was backs against the wall, but it was definitely a more positive start from Ferencvaros, and we struggled to really impact the game. We barely had the ball in their half for the opening 15 minutes or so. And apart from the goal they scored, I thought we dealt with it fairly well. I don't remember too many clear-cut opportunities they had. I don't really remember too many saves. Obviously, Vicario did make that unbelievable save, but the ball did seem to have gone out of play anyway, so I don't think it would have counted. But that was also another chance. Traore had a header at the back post. But then it seemed to turn. I think after that goal went in, it seemed to wake us up a bit. Then Papsar had a couple of efforts from the edge of the area, which forced the keeper into a save, and we started to settle down. We started to play our game, starting to open them up, and then obviously we got the opening goal, and it was a bit of chaos. Obviously, Mikey Moore played the ball to Lancashire. He kind of battles with the defender. In fact, I think it was Gustavo. He just swings his leg at the pass from Mikey Moore, and then inadvertently puts it into the path of Lancashire. Lancashire then kind of tries to bundle his way through. It causes some chaos. Bergvall then absolutely runs in like a steam train, just making sure that the attack doesn't die. And it was just a really funny moment because Bergvall gets a deflection on the clearance, then falls to Papsar, and the defender for Ferencvaros is looking around like, where did the ball go? He just didn't know where it went. And luckily for us, it went right into the path of Sarr. Sarr was alive to the situation. The Ferencvaros defender wasn't. And before the Ferencvaros defender could realise where the ball had gone, it was in the back of the net. And it was actually a tidy finish from Sarr into the far corner. So it was a good goal from our point of view, just making sure that we made use of that confusion. But yeah, I wouldn't say it was against the run of play because at that point we were getting into it. But it was a good time to score.
Absolutely. And Pape Sarr, as much as what anyone wants to say about him this season and pre-season, how poor he's been, he's definitely growing into the season now. 2 goals and 1 assist in the last 3 games for him, which makes it 2-2 in Europe. So him and Brennan Johnson leading our goal scoring charts in Europe with 2 goals so far. And it's just great to see that you can make changes and the players that you bring in make a real impact in the game. And I thought Pape Sarr, in terms of an individual performance, he was just everywhere on the pitch throughout the game, throughout the time he was on the pitch. If you look at his heat map, which we can't bring up for you right now, but you can see in his heat map, he was literally everywhere. It seems as like there was no blade of grass which he didn't cover yesterday.
Yeah, and we know what he can offer. We saw last season when he was on top of his game. He's such a consistent, effective midfielder, not just with his physical traits, which we know he's got an unbelievable engine, but as well technically. As much as he's obviously not on Maddison or Kulusevski's level, he's still got really good technical ability, and he hasn't quite shown that this season on enough occasions. But I think in the last few games, I think he's really starting to show that what he's got in his locker, and obviously he's getting those goal contributions. Just a player in his position is important. Obviously, I don't expect him to be getting 15 goals or 15 assists, but he needs to be ticking those goal contributions.
At this rate, you never know, mate.
Yeah, you never know. He's got 3 in his last 3 games, so it's positive. And I think last season, he got 3 goals, 3 assists, which is, for a 21-year-old last season playing in the Premier League.
He's already half that tally. It's only 7 games gone in the Premier League.
Yeah,
season.
It's not a bad tally. I mean, for a player of his age, playing pretty much his first season in the Premier League consistently, that's not a terrible tally, and we know he can improve on that. So. He wasn't scared about shooting yesterday, was he? He had, 3 shots on target, and he was forced to save out of the keeper as well early on with a decent strike. So he was definitely getting involved in a lot of the movements. And I think, as you said, we got the goal, and then we started to grow in confidence. Porro had that moment where he hit the post. Lancashire had that header, which probably should have done better with. And all of a sudden, we started to open up a bit more regularly. And maybe half time probably came at a bad time because we were really getting on top of them. Just before half time.
We were well on top, and I felt like we were a lot better in attacking sense in the first half than we were in the second half. I think Ferencvaros, when they came out for the second half, they probably got together, they grouped together and figured out a way how to stop us a bit more, because I felt we did look a lot more dangerous and more rampant maybe in the first half, and it took for maybe the changes to come on to really stamp our authority even more and seal that game off.
Yeah, I think it swung it back in our favour. I would say before the changes, it looked like Ferencvaros might be getting back in the game, and they also had they did have a few chances. Vicario had to make a brilliant fingertip save from, I think his name is Saldana.
Every time you watch that back, actually, it gets better and better, that save, because it's that proper like fingertips. He was at full stretch, and you know what? Vicario is so good at those. Like I think he's actually elite at those kind of saves.
Yeah, he's a brilliant shot stopper. Now, this is what I was saying, like. Very rarely, for example, I was seeing the goals back of the Porto Man United game, and you just see like the 2 goals United scored just went right through the Porto keeper Costa, who's known as quite a good keeper. And I was just looking at that moment. It just made me think, like, I never see Vicario have those kind of moments in the Spurs show. Yes, you could argue he's flapped a few crosses and whatever, and there are things he needs to improve on. But when it comes to pure shot stopping and his ability, his handling, when in those moments when when he has to catch shots from range or whatever, and his shot stopping in those areas, he's brilliant. I don't think he's made any. I can't think of a single goal where I thought Vicario should have saved that, or he's let it slip through or it's gone through him. Very rarely have we had those moments with Vicario, and that just goes to show how good he is at those moments.
And it's not only that, which I completely agree with you with Vicario. He's elite in those kind of situations, shot stopping. He's completely elite, and I think he's, if not the best, one of the best in the Premier League, definitely in the top 3, that's for sure. But in the facets which he's been accused of not being so great at, in terms of his coming for crosses, strength in the box, playing out the back sometimes, I feel like he's such a hard worker, and he's constantly trying to improve those facets of the game, and I think you're seeing that relate onto the pitch as well. Even yesterday you saw a couple of crosses come in and he just comes out and catches them like there's no one around him. But he did
fumble one though.
It's true he did, but you can't argue against that. He is constantly working on it and constantly getting better at it.
Well, I think the main thing is he's now coming for them. I think before he looked like he was scared to come for these crosses and he didn't want to, maybe because he knew he wasn't as strong in that position. But now I think he's trying to gain that confidence to start coming for these crosses when he sees those long balls coming to the penalty area. He's less scared of those situations. And yeah, he did fumble one similar to the one against Brentford, but he got away with it on this occasion. On the one against Brentford, he got away with it as well, but he did handle it outside the box. But
as long as he's getting away with it, it's all good.
But you know what? Ever since the Arsenal game, to be honest, he's made some really important saves for us. And actually, he did that save he made in the first half. I know it wouldn't have counted, but unbelievable reaction.
Top save.
And he's actually got unbelievable quick reactions, like getting to close to Hugo level reactions he's getting there. So that's really, really good. So I think Vicario's had a really positive reaction to the Arsenal game, I would say.
Yeah, and that shows top mentality from him. And, that is why Andrew's put him in the leadership group. That's why he's, 4th in line to be a captain at Spurs. So
4th in line for the throne.
4th in line. 4th in line for the throne. I can't be happy with Vicario right now. And, a few questions were getting put his way about is he good enough and all this kind of stuff, but I think that's been battered away now since that moment. So big up to Big Vic. But I guess, yeah, look, we said yesterday that the day yesterday really belonged to the youngsters that really performed yesterday, but I think who it really belonged to was Brennan Johnson, because Brennan Johnson, 5 in 5 now in a Spurs shirt, different kind of goals as well, important goals in a Spurs shirt. Confidence is just like...
Yeah,
it's just like you can just see the confidence just stemming through him, and his chest puffed out, shoulders back, and he's taking shots at will, first time shots with quality. He came on in a time where we needed a goal because it was getting airy at times. Ferencvaros were growing in confidence. They thought they could get back into the game. Brennan Johnson hits the bar with a first time shot. Then 10 minutes later he takes another shot. It kisses the inside of the post and goes in. I mean, Ariane said it after the game in the fan show yesterday. Everything he's touching is turning to gold at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's what it seems like.
And that's the thing. He's looking so much more confident right now. I think the real one that showed me his confidence wasn't the goal, but even though the goal was composed, but that shot he had which hit the bar, the way he struck that first time without even a second thought, and the technique on it was absolutely amazing. And it was actually beyond the keeper before he even reacted, even though it was quite far out. And it just so unlucky that if you see the angle just behind him, that it just how he struck it with such venom, and it looked like it was arrowing right towards that corner. It's such a shame it hit the bar. Brilliant effort, and that just shows the confidence flowing in through him, because he was in that position quite a lot against Arsenal, the one where he hit the bar, and he just hesitates a bit. He didn't have the same conviction in his shooting as he did yesterday, but it looks like he's a man who's just got a weight lifted from him, maybe with the goals he's been scoring in the recent weeks, and he's showing what a threat he is in that position as well, because he's hitting the corners. If you give him a bit of space, he's hitting the corners. You saw even against United, he got the goal. I know it was back post, but they gave him an inch in that chance to hit the post, and he just struck it just so inch wide and it hit the post. But he's showing he's got good finishing ability. He's hitting those corners if you give him the space. And the goal, the way he took the goal as well, great composure. Just used Decky as a decoy for allow him to running on the outside, and just switched it inside. And I think that's probably the first time we've seen him score a goal with his left foot for Spurs. I don't remember how many occasions, but
I think we have to start calling him Brennandinho, man. And Brennandinho. This guy is a phenomenon right now, because look, everyone was criticizing him, and look, abuse aside, I don't want to talk about the abuse because we've spoken about that too many times, and we just know that that's just not on. But in terms of the criticism that he was getting in a Spurs shot, I think it was warranted. He wasn't performing well enough, in my opinion, and I was one of the people to come out and criticise him, and quite heavily for his performances. But ever since that Brentford game, or the end of the Coventry game. But I think the thing that flipped the switch in him was the fans chanting his name. You saw, maybe he got some confidence through that, and maybe, he was thinking on the back of the abuse, oh, the fans hate me and stuff. But actually, the fans in the stadium are there to support him, and they showed that, and they duly delivered on that supporting. And then in that Brentford game, when he got that brilliant goal, it seems like he's just trying that time and time again now, and he can hit those areas in the goal, and he's doing it on a consistent basis now. So we just need him to keep going.
Definitely, and we've seen him on the right wing. If you give him a bit of space, he can be effective. He's got a brilliant ball across the face of goal, which he's been unlucky not to get a couple of assists in the last few games as well, which he probably should have with some of his crossing. And he also showed that if you put him in a shooting position, he can be deadly. He's got a very powerful finish. He's got a very accurate finish. He can arrow it into that far corner. And yeah, I'm absolutely delighted for him. And look, he got 15 goals in goal contributions last season, which again, for a 22-year-old last season, first season for the club, and that was only his second season in Premier League. That's no mean feat. That's nothing to be sniffed at. And yes, there were some games he could have performed better in, and he was a bit inconsistent performance-wise, but he was still getting those positions. He was still getting goal contributions fairly regularly. And I think that went under the radar for a lot of people, because people just look at his performances and say, oh, he's average and this and that. But at the end of the day, he was still being effective. And that's what I was saying about Brendan. He's an effective player. He's got physical traits that can give anyone, if you give him space, he can give anyone trouble. He's so fast. I think before we signed him, they said, I think he was clocking at one of the fastest players in the Premier League, wasn't he? And also, not only is he so quick, but he's actually he's fairly tall. He's quite broad. He's quite strong as well. So yeah,
it seems like he's growing in that aspect. And the physical aspect as well.
Yeah, and I think a confident Brendan Johnson's only going to help us massively, and him playing on that right wing as well. So I think he's doing a really good job at the moment. I'm delighted for him, and we're going to need him because we know Odebear's injured. Son at the moment, hopefully it's not too bad, but he's injured. Richarlison's still out, so he's going to be playing a lot regularly, and we're going to need him in this kind of form. He's doing a great job.
Forget need him. He's one of the first names on the team sheet at the moment. That's how much of an impact he's just performing to a really high level, and it's not just the goal contributions, which I've maybe argued in the past, where he doesn't make an impact in games. I mean, he gets the goal contributions, but on a consistent basis through the 90 minutes, I feel like he can go missing at times, but he does pop up with those goal contributions. But now I feel like since that Coventry game, every game he's made an impact throughout that 90 minutes.
Yeah, he seems to be protecting the ball better, and he's not giving it away as easily. And but I think last season there were times where he was just running down blind alleys, and he was not strong enough at shielding the ball and keeping possession. He definitely seems to be improving that. I think there's still got way to go to really get to the level we need him to be, but he's definitely improving that aspect, and that's helping his overall performance. And when he gets in those crucial positions, he seems to be on fire at the moment.
And such important goals he's scoring as well. Like that goal last night was like at the exact like we needed it badly at that time because Ferencvaros were growing into that game and it was getting very dangerous for us at times.
Absolutely.
So he comes on, he scores that goal, and then look, you could tell how important it was because Ferencvaros go up the other end and score straight away. So if he doesn't score that, we probably don't win that game.
Yeah, so really crucial goal, crucial times. So fantastic for Brendan. But I want to talk about as well Archie Gray, because it was a difficult first half for him, which I didn't think he did do badly, but it was a difficult half for him for sure.
He's not a centre half.
He's not. I think at this point, I think maybe when he gets to his 20s, mid 20s to that, maybe he can develop into it when he develops a bit more physically, like strength wise. I don't think he's ever going to be a natural centre half, but I think he might be able to compete better. Yeah, compete better in those situations. But I actually think even in the first half, he started at centre half, and Varga's a big physical striker, 6 foot plus, and clearly he targeted Archie Gray winning duels and head aerial duels and stuff. But I actually think as the half went on, he adapted quite well to that situation and stopped being beaten as often as he was maybe in the first bit of that half. And I think we moved him over to left back. I think he looked a lot more comfortable in that position, and you could see how his confidence to play his way out of trouble. What I love about Archie Gray is so many players in that position where he did that drag back and flick and then got us on a counter, the back heel. Unbelievable. And I think just how many teenagers of his age in that position would have the confidence to try that? Like no one. And not only the confidence, but the quality to pull it off. And not only did he pull it off, but it set us up on a counter attack, and he played somewhere, I think it was Basuma. I think actually it led to a chance, if I remember right, because I think Basuma went forward and then Basuma played through Lancashire and we should have scored. So that actually created goal-scoring opportunities. Well, literally, he's penned in by our own corner flag.
Incredible.
And from his own quality, we ended up getting a goal-scoring opportunity out of it. And that's what I love about Archie Gray. We were told by Leeds fans before we signed him, he's always a player that looks to go forward. He's not a player who's just going to hoof it clear for just to get the ball clear and for safety's sake. He's a player who backs his own ability to always look for forward options, and that's what you get out of it, is those kind of moments. And I was thinking about this though. Since he signed, he's played midfield, he's played right back, he's played centre back, he's played left back, and we're not even just hitting the second international break, where we're only in October, and he's already played about 5 positions. And I think he's looked pretty good in all of them, to be honest. He's in each position, he's had good games in respective games. So, he's so versatile, and I think it comes because he's such an intelligent player. He's got really good game understanding, and he's very good at listening to instructions. He's very good at taking in information. That's very, very clear to see. And he's got really great technical ability. He had that moment, and he's got a great engine. He had that moment right at the beginning of the second half, didn't he, where he ran just down the touchline, like pretty much the whole pitch, and unfortunately he held onto the ball too long and he gave it away, but he just showed what an unbelievable engine he has.
I remember saying to you at that point, who needs Mickey van der Ven? We got Archie Gray here bursting through everyone.
And that's what I think Ange was saying in the second half, where he thought he needed that kind of engine at fullback in that second half just to exploit Ferencvaros a bit more. And I thought Gray really
he'd look a lot more comfortable in the second half than he did in the first half, though. Like in the second half, I thought he put in a really strong display. Just so hard to get the ball off him. I thought he did struggle in that first half, and I probably. If I was to replay that game again, I probably wouldn't start him at centre-back, because I thought, like, physically, I don't think he could stand up to that challenge of Varga, because he's a very physical player, isn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So I think Ange did a good decision, but I think we've really got a gem in Archie Gray. I really do. I'm so impressed with him.
It's not even just Archie. I agree with you. We've got a gem in Archie. We've got a gem in Lucas Bergvall. We've got a gem in Mikey Moore. It looks like we got a gem in Will Lancashire as well. I mean, the future is so bright here at Tottenham Hotspur, and even like the players that are starting week in, week out in the first team as well are not old. We've got such a young squad.
I know. We talk about like people even like Decky's like 24, isn't he? And Porro's 25. Like these, I know they're not old, they're not young, but they're players
but they're coming into their prime now.
So much time to grow, and like Sarr 22, Doggy's 21, Van der Ven even, he's 22, isn't he? Or 23.
22.
Like he's so young. Romero's one of the experienced heads at 26. So like we've got such a young squad that even the players that we talk about as being like senior and like these are ready-made stars, even them are really a lot of them are really young, and even them are probably haven't seen their best yet.
Absolutely.
And they haven't hit their peak. So it's such an exciting team and such an exciting time to be a Spurs fan. And as you said, the youngsters come from, not even the youngsters who aren't at the club, Vuskovic and Ashley Phillips and other players,
Jamie Donnelly, Alfie Devine,
like so much talent in and around the youth level at Tottenham right now. And that's exactly what Lange was saying in his interview. He wants this to be a place where the best talent around Europe feel like they can come to and get a chance. And that was actually really important. What I was hearing from Ange after the game, he was saying, he was asked about, you started 4 teenagers today, and why do you, how come you trusted them, and does that show what good players you have and stuff like that? And he's saying, look, we sold them when we were talking, people like Bergvall and Gray and these kind of players. Maybe even more when we were battling off bigger clubs who were after him. When we sat down with them, we told them that you will get minutes here, you will get opportunities here, and there is going to be a pathway for you. And I can't neglect that. I can't just say those can't be empty words. I have to actually say what I mean, and I actually have to back up my words. And if I don't back up my words, what's going to happen is, first of all, they're going to get disgruntled, and future young players who we're looking at and we want to be part of this team, they're going to look at that and they're going to say, well, you didn't give them opportunities, so why should I come here and how can I trust that I'll get playing time? So I have to give them those opportunities to shine. I have to help them develop. Like, that was part of my remit here, is to help these young players develop, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. But it's not about just giving them the game time because they need to develop. I feel like they've earned their position as well, and I believe like these aren't just, I'm not just gifting them minutes. These are players with high quality who I really believe they can contribute. So those are really important words from Ange. And if that's, if he's going to stick to his word, like it looks like he will, because he has been giving young players opportunities, that's really, really exciting about the future of where this team is going. And when you've got a young team growing together, that's always like the optimal thing, because they
that's what we had with Poch.
Yeah, and they start to understand their game together. They grow and really create a bond together as well. And they also, when they start off from a really young age, growing in the team, they'll have more of a sense of loyalty to the club, I feel like, as well, rather than if they come a bit later on, because they really feel like you've given them that opportunity to have that break in the team. And especially if they're reaping the rewards of it with results, and if we're doing well in the league, they're going to have that feel like there's no better place to be than here right now. So the fact that we've got these teenagers, and not just teenagers, played in the young 20s and playing at a really good level, and we're getting these results, is so exciting and so positive. And you just feel like the possibilities are endless when you're seeing this. You do, because the players are such high quality and so young. It's really, really exciting.
It really is. And it's where the club has fallen foul quite a lot since the Pochettino days, or even since the latter stages of Pochettino. You have players like Jack Clark coming to the club, Joe Rodon coming to the club. A lot of players coming through the doors here where we're talking about, oh, these guys are really good for the future, but they don't get a look in, do they?
And look what they've gone on to do.
Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe not Joe Rodon.
Rodon, I mean, apparently he's not having a great year, but he had a great year last year.
Yeah, but it's in the Championship,
Still, but Jack Clark is really coming on now.
Jack Clark, yeah.
Madueke, look where he is.
Yeah.
£35 million signing for Chelsea and balling out there as well.
Yeah.
You've got Marcus Edwards doing well at Sporting. Like, we've got good young players who we haven't given opportunities to, and they've really gone on and shown what they're capable of, and because they never really got the opportunity.
But that's what we've always called for, is Spurs to give youth a chance. And Mourinho didn't really do it. I mean, I know he's given his debut to Dane Scarlett and Alfie Devine and people like that, but he never gave youth a chance on a consistent basis.
When did he ever start them?
No,
Tanganga, I don't think
did Alfie start in that Marine game? But it's a Marine game.
I think
he came on and scored, didn't he?
Yeah.
But like, the point is the same, right? We had managers who would maybe put them in here, bring them on for the last 10 minutes. Jose Mourinho only gave these players a chance before his own personal thing. Like, he said that he only brought on Dane Scarlett because he wanted to be the one to give him a chance, because he knew he's going to be a big player in the future. So we haven't had a manager probably since the early stages of Pochettino that actually gives youth a consistent chance. Mm-hmm. So it's great to see Ange really pulling through on that. And people were talking about Ange Postecoglou last year, saying about he's not going to give these players a chance. So it's really great to see that he is, and we're going to reap the benefits of it. And I think we're already reaping the benefits of it. So it's great to see that this is going to be like a hub of all the best young players from around Europe and England to come to.
And the most amazing thing and the most impressive thing is we did that, and we actually got the result as well. Because sometimes the give and take with giving youth a chances, you have a bit of short-term pain for some long-term gain. That's the idea usually. Yes, you might not get the results because they're still learning and whatever, so you might suffer from results, but in the future you develop these players. But we actually put them in, and they were so good that we actually still got the result, we still got the win, and they were some of the main reasons why we got that. So that's also so exciting. What's the most exciting bit about yesterday? It was because in years gone by, maybe other players in that kind of atmosphere might have crumbled and wouldn't have been up to the task. Yet the players we put a really good shift. They all worked hard for the team, and they showed their individual quality as well. So really, really impressive yesterday. That was my main takeaway from yesterday's result and performance, was how good these young players are. And hopefully these aren't the last of the opportunities, because we've got a lot of Europa League games to come. Hopefully in Premier League games they can start contributing as well. So exciting.
It's not even that. It's not even the young players, because I was saying this on the fan show and in the match reaction last night, that too many times in the past, under the Mourinhos, under the Pochettinos, under Conte, there's been a bit of a notion about these kind of competitions where it's the A team and the B team, and the B team always play in the Europa League and the Conference League, and the A team get the league. And you're not getting that feeling under Postecoglou this time. It's a family feeling, and everyone's in it together. In the first game in the Europa League, you had Udogie and Van de Ven playing. The second game of the Europa League, you've got Romero and Pedro Porro playing, and all of them playing to a really high standard in both these games. How many times have we seen players just not give a shit about these kind of competitions, and they just think it's well below them? Now we've got Postecoglou in, and he's created this complete family feel where everyone's in it together. Everyone's going to have minutes in every competition. I just think that it's an unbelievable thing, and you're really seeing performance levels rise because of it.
Yeah, and that's also really important, because if we're going to get through this competition, take it seriously and go far in it, we're going to need these players to take this competition seriously and really step up. And I felt like maybe as well, because there was these teenagers playing, that maybe these players also feel like this extra responsibility to make sure that they're helping them, and they don't want to hang them out to dry kind of thing. And Romero with the vice captain armband now, was wearing the captain's armband yesterday, playing really well, keeping the standards high. Porro coming in was exceptional.
Probably our best two players on the pitch last night.
Exceptional, wasn't he, Porro? What a performance it was from him. Basuma, he was talking about after the game how Sarr's his little brother, and he wants to help him, and he wants to help him develop. And he's only talking about Sarr. What a great performance it was from him. And he was out there, marshalling that young midfield three ahead of him, Bergvall and Sarr, and he was taking the extra responsibility, and I thought he was excellent as well. So absolutely fantastic that the main players as well were really stepping up for the team. And look, I know it's only a win against Ferencvaros. You can say, well, they're farmers from Hungary and blah blah blah, but it's not an easy place to go. We've years gone by, we would have easily gone to that place and lost and got turned over and been out battled and all the crumbled in the atmosphere and the pouring rain and all that kind of stuff. We've seen it time and time again. So the fact we didn't do that and we actually came out on top and deserved it as well is a great thing, and it was a great performance. It was a good night for Spurs.
Absolutely. Team of absolute battlers. And look, we can wax lyrical about Pedro Porro's performance last night all day long. That little shift when he hit the post, I mean, that was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. It was like it was on roller skates, how smooth it was. And then he just, with a lovely little...
Don't talk about the dive.
It was never a dive, with a lovely little shot that just curled around everyone and then hit the post, unfortunately. It was just unbelievable.
And I think as well, Ange, I've said before, I think he's managing the squad really well.
100%.
I
100%.
think, again, years gone by, we might have overplayed other players, maybe, but I think he's doing really smart. Play Van de Ven and Udogie against Karabag, play Porro Romero against Ferencvaros. Just make sure that no one's being overplayed. Make sure that we're not putting too much pressure on anyone. And, even yesterday, definitely, I think years gone by, no one would have started Lancashire. They would have just kept playing Solanke. Mourinho would have said, he's our only fit striker, nothing else I can do.
Yeah.
That's what he would have said.
Yeah.
But he was brave. He put Lancashire in the team. He gave him an opportunity to shine, and it paid off for us. And that means we got Solanke got a rest, Madison Kulusevski got a bit of a rest, Udogie got a rest, Van de Ven got a rest, and they're going to be fresh for Sunday. So really, that's also just as important. And we were able to do that while still getting the result. So I think Ange is doing a great job in the balancing act he's got with this squad.
Yeah. Just before we finish, I just want to touch on Lucas Bergvall, because you said at the beginning of the show that, you thought he put in a good performance. And
look, I've seen him play better, but I don't look. Everyone's saying, he was bad. I don't think he was bad. He just, look, everyone's so excited to see him. I think he's trying a bit too hard at the moment. That's true, but I don't think he was as bad as people are saying. I thought he was all right.
No, I agree with that. I was about to say, I don't think the criticism for his performance is warranted. I think people are going over the top with it, but I think it is clear to see, for me anyway, that him going off in the first 10 minutes of that game against Qarabag last week, I think it has affected him in some sort of way, whether it be his confidence or maybe he's just, trying to prove to Ange that he's not the man that should have gone off at that moment in time. You saw him, in my opinion, come on in the Man United game and just, he's just not picking the simple option. He's just trying to, I don't know, maybe be the hero or just trying a bit too hard on the pitch. And I feel like when he was playing before, he was playing with a bit of a calmness about him. I don't think he's playing with that calmness anymore. And look, I have no doubt in my mind that he will get that back and he will be a top player for us. But I just feel right now in this moment in time, I don't know. I just think he's just trying a bit too much and he's just not picking that simple option.
Yeah, I don't know if I can point it just to that moment against Qarabag because I don't know, it could be anything. And again, he's an 18-year-old kid. That comes with inconsistency sometimes. But I feel like, yes, he is definitely maybe trying a bit too hard. But obviously, look, he was involved in the first goal. If he doesn't bundle his way through and get the ball to Sarr, we don't score that goal. And I thought, in general play, I actually thought he was doing some nice stuff with Sarr. I actually think he didn't do enough, getting into the final third and linking with the front line. He could have done a bit more with that. I think because of what we saw in pre-season, he was so exciting. And
but it's not just pre-season, in the Premier League as well.
I know, but I'm just saying.
And against Coventry.
I'm just saying, but what we saw in pre-season, like everyone's expecting him to put in a worldly performance every game. He's an 18-year-old kid playing in a difficult position at a high level in Europa League. And he's not going to put in an amazing performance every game. I thought he was okay. I'll give him, like, if I was rating him like a 6 out of 10, I don't think he was a disaster.
Spoilers.
Like people were saying. But like, obviously he wasn't amazing. He wasn't at his best. But look, I don't see why the Qarabag thing should affect him that much. He came on against United. He started this game. He's getting opportunities. It's not like that was his only opportunity. He knows he's going to start games. So, yeah, he was disappointed to come off in that game, but I don't think that's going to have any lasting effects.
No, I'm not saying a lasting effect, but I think it has, some maybe even subconsciously, because you saw how upset he was, not even just when he went off, but you saw when he was sitting on the sidelines. And I feel like his performances since then haven't been the same as his performances prior to there. So, you can make 2 and 2 and make 10. You don't really know what's going on in his head. You don't really know what's going on that pitch. But that's what I'm seeing from an outsider looking in.
Maybe. I'm not seeing a massive difference, to be honest. I think he's just a young player. And sometimes you get some bit of inconsistency, and that's it.
Well, let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. That is our match review for the 2-1 win out in Budapest last night. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.